You know, when we first started advertising for Kamal Saleem coming here, we began to recognize, as I'm sure numbers of you did by doing a simple Google search, that he's the self-proclaimed terrorist, you know. How many of you have heard that? Quite a few of you have. I would be surprised if most of you haven't. But you know, when I saw all of that, there are several things came to mind. One was that one of my dear friends that I have admired for a long time, the Reverend Donald E. Wildman, the founder of the American Family Association, he was a person that was targeted, marked very much over his years. He was the man the networks love to hate, was the title of a book that he had. The Playboy Foundation, they didn't like him at all. The ACLU, and the list really goes on and on. So oftentimes we are known by our enemies. Well, certainly Kamal Saleem is a very marked man. You know, when you first look at some of that, you know, you kind of go, whoa, what's all this about, you know? But when you've lived a while, like some of us have here, and you've been in ministry for a period of time, you recognize you've got to really scrape through those things. Again, discernment is desperately needed. One of the greatest things that was helpful to me was the fact that I heard him at Washington, D.C. at the Value Voters Summit back in October. And he was on the podium in front of a couple thousand people. Ministries that were supporting him were Family Research Council, Focus on the Family, AFA, Liberty Council, and the list goes on and on. And one of the individuals, and some of you are very familiar with this, perhaps, it's hard for me not to say this, but perhaps the most significant military warrior of our time, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. Jerry Boykin would not share a podium with the likes of a Kamal Saleem if he was a fraud. I am so pleased to be able to welcome Kamal Saleem. I'm thankful we had a time to speak to, brother. His love for this country and for the Lord and for the Word and for people and for his wife is so significant. Thank you. Please come, Kamal.
Well, I want to tell you something. To God be the glory for everything. Because this is not a story about Kamal Saleem. This is a story about what God did in Kamal Saleem's life. Otherwise, I would be standing on the other side, shouting you down, calling for your head, burning your American flag, and doing missions against Americans. You know, you are the great Satan. Israel is the small Satan. Both of y'all need to be destroyed. That's mean all y'all. That's mean, you know, it's plural in Southern language. I'm married to a redneck. She loves God and she loves her country. And she ain't scared. So therefore, I learned this the very nice way. Well, there's a man, his name is Abdullah. He had a son, his name is Ahmed. Abdullah don't want to send his son Ahmed to the American University, so he sent him to France to study in France. So he sent him to a school called Lycée de France. For those who speak French, it's called University of France. So what happened is, one day Abdullah wrote an email to his son. He said, "Oh, my son Ahmed, I wish you were here. I miss you so much. Arthritis is destroying my hands, and I could not walk, and I could not stand straight." He said, "I wish you were here to till the background, you know, so I can put herbs and spices to change, you know, the garden. You know how I am." His son wrote him an email back. He said, "Dear Dad, do not touch the backyard. Remember what we put there? Do not do anything." That night, General Jerry Boykin came with all his troops, and they dug the yard from end to end. They looked all over. With the Homeland, Janet Pelotano was there, everybody was there. General Jerry was scratching his head. He's losing his hair, you know, and he's a good friend of mine. And so what happened is they didn't find anything. So the second day, Abdullah woke up and he got an email from his son. He said, "Dad, I hope by now your ground is tilled." Thank you, General Jerry, wherever you may be. The story I want to speak about tonight, it is very important. It is about the ugly truth, and it's about the beautiful truth. What is the ugly truth is what America is facing today and what we are going to be facing in the near future. Our world is changing as we know it. The call to action in 9/11 took place and nobody woke up. America went into deeper sleep. Today the insurgency is not any longer where it used to be. It is all over the place. It's in every high place and every low place, and American people are drinking the Kool-Aid with style today. I want to talk tonight about the 7 mountains. There's a book was written by O.S. Hamilton. Anyone read this book? Read this book? It's about the 7 influences that every culture has. In every culture, there's 7 mountains of influences, and these will affect the culture from within. If those 7 mountains are not mended by God people, then the enemy will mend them and will change your world. In that place, O.S. Hamilton said, it has been proven that culture is often shaped by only a few operating at the top of the culture mountain of influence. And he said, the culture here in the United States of America is it is being devastated, and so therefore he's calling the church to come back. What are those 7 mountains? The first one is the family. The second one is the education. Third is the government. Fourth is business. Then media, art, and entertainment. Number 6, 7 is the religion. These are the places now they are vacant, and the church has left its place. At the Islamic Association of Palestine Annual Convention in Illinois, Abdurrahman Alamudi declared, he said, I have no doubt in my mind, Muslims sooner or later will be the moral leadership of America. It depends on me and you. He's talking to the Muslim. Either we do it now or we will do it after 100 years from now. But this country will become a Muslim country. He prophesied that. He stood there and he declared it. My story is different than many of American people's story. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon. My family are very unique. We were not rich. We were very poor. My dad is a blacksmith. He's from Beirut, Beiruti. My father came from the Ottoman Empire. At the fall of the Ottoman Empire in 1924, he ran and hid in Lebanon. He was one of those armies to destroy the world and ruled by the sword of Islam. The Ottoman Empire ruled approximately 800-900 years, of the world of Islam. And that was by the sword of Islam, and it was not by the love of Islam. So, therefore, what happened in that house, my mother learned from her father what's her purpose in life, and her purpose is to birth people like me. From my childhood, there 14 of us. We lived in a 3-room house, a living room, bedroom, and a kitchen. That's all we had. We did not have a whole lot. Our life was very, very unique. My favorite place was the kitchen table. This is where I was receiving things, whether food or whether I was studying. This is the only place I received for free. The rest was not. You have to fight for a corner. Sardine can was our life. In the living room. That's where it turned to beds at night, and we slept one side the girls, one side the boys. And heat and air conditioning we don't have. So, we get close to each other during the winter, and during the summer we rent a roof. This is our life in a nutshell. But there on the kitchen table, my mom was teaching me, she said, over there we were learning to become Muslim, and we were learning how to recite the Quran. My brother was talking about reciting the Quran. It's called Hafiz. I used to know the majority of the Quran by heart. Why? Because we recited the Quran by the time I was 12 years old. I recited it 3 times with my brothers. Our class was one side for the boys, one side for the girls. Because the boys in the Muslim world are the first citizen. Women are the second citizen. So you have your home, you have your furniture, you have your wife, you have your car. This is how your wife comes to. Woman is not equal to man in any way, form, or shape. So therefore, it was everything, everybody was looking up to the man, what they're going to do. That was the teaching of Islam and Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam. Therefore, on the table, my mom said to me one time, she said, my son, you're pure at heart. You will die for the sake of Allah. What does that mean? She said, you are so pure that you believe in Islam, and one day you'll fulfill the purpose that Allah called you for. What is that purpose? In Islam, the Quran says, وَكُلُّ مِنْكُمْ وَارِدُهَا. Every Muslim will have to go to hell first. No Muslim go to paradise. They have to purify first, and after that they can go to paradise, if Allah will. Allah is the God of Islam. Allah and Jehovah God Almighty are not the same God. Many people, they tell you we worship the same God. It is not true. The difference between the two, you have Jehovah God Almighty and you have Allah. God so loved the world. The emphasis on so. It's bigger. It's so big, He so loved the world. Allah, in the Quran says, if the whole world was worth a net like to Him, He'd have destroyed it time and time again. That's in Sharia. And this one here, Jehovah God Almighty, that He gave. This one took. This one gave His only son. This one found an orphan man. Everyone that took care of this man died. His mother, his father, uncle, grandfather, everybody that took care of him was dying. This one here, what he did, he brought about spirit of adoption of Jesus Christ, to adopt us and to bring us to be part of the tree, to graft us into the tree. What tree is this? Tree of life itself. He said, I am the way and the life and truth, and no one can to the Father but through me. This one here, he brought the spirit of orphanism. It was the spirit that fell in Isaiah, book of Isaiah 13, 12 through 15. Write that down for those who are taking notes. This is where the spirit of orphan started. Satan was the first orphan that fell out of the glory of God. This book of Isaiah. So what happened? This man gave his life. This man took life. This man saved humanity. This man killed over 275 million people. Up to now. So when they tell you they're the same God, they are not so. There in my home, I was learning about my God, and the only way to please Allah, the Quran says, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءً عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. There you have it. Said, those who died for the sake of Allah, they are not dead, but they are alive and prospering, and they live before Allah, the throne of Allah. Therefore, my dad came and he gave the first lesson to us, and he said, the first drop of your blood, my son, as a martyr, what happened is you become an intercessor for 70 of your immediate family. Your mom, brothers, sisters, uncle, aunt, grandparent, they sent, what happened? They go to paradise without judgment. That's what Sharia law can speak of. What is Sharia law? We'll talk about it later on. And what happened is the second drop of your blood, you have 72 virgin. These are virgin women, half angels. We call them huriya or huriyin. And what happened is, these are for your pleasure. With every virgin, you get 72 other virgin. This is what we were learning when I was before 7 years old. And what happened is, Allah will give a man, 100 horsepower, and he will have all the pleasure he wants. Heaven is for men and not for women. The woman, when she dies, she either belongs to her husband or either she go to hell. The Quran said, Allah, the God of Quran said, the fuel of hell is made out of women. The fuel of hell is made out of women. Why am I talking about this? We got to dispel this myth about Islam is a peaceful religion. We got to put it out and open in the light of God, and we got to step to the forefront. Why do I do what I do? Because to me, this means a whole lot. This is the final frontier. This is my home. This is where I was found. This is where I was born again. This is where my children and grandchildren are growing up. This is what I give my life. It is for freedom I have set you free. That's what the Word of God said. And freedom is not for free. Today, the freedom that we live in was given to us on a silver platter, by white glove, was served to us by our ancestors, those who are fought for us. Our soldiers are our heroes. These are who served this country and fought for this country and gave their life for this country. Why? Because these people understood what freedom is. And now it's our turn. What are we going to do? If you're 26 years old and younger, stand up, please. I want you to take a hard look at these people. I want you to look at them really hard. Do they deserve to live in freedom? Do they deserve to fight for? Do they deserve to pray for? Who will stand for them in the gate? Who will say to them, today nothing's going to happen to you? Who will tell them, I love you with the love that they loved me in, my ancestors? I believe those worth the fight. I believe those are worth to give our life for. Thank you for being here tonight. There on my mother table, I was learning. And what I was learning how to hate. Our objective is to, my mother said, if you kill a Jew, my son, your hand will light up before the throne of Allah, and the host of heaven will celebrate your victory. So therefore, we were hate, the Jews. And the second one is hating the Christians. As you read the Quran, you read all the surahs, the books. It talks about killing, destroying the Jews and the Christian because they are perverted. We refer to them as monkeys and pigs. And we refer to them as they don't have the Spirit of God. They have the spirit of this world. So therefore, we're going somewhere with all this. And what happened is we are writing on the walls the people of Saturday first and the people of Sunday next. So we'll kill the Jews first and we'll kill the Christian next. There on that table, I was learning what's my purpose. From there, I was graduating. My mother wanted me to die in martyrdom. Why? Because she can go to paradise. It is free ticket for the family. That's why so many Muslim people saying to their children, go kill yourself. Tonight we said we will give our life for them. It's a different story. While over there, go kill yourself so we may live. It's a different story, if that makes any sense. Many of the things that we hear from the Islamic perspective and the Christian perspective, they sound alike, but they are not alike. Nothing is alike. For example, let me give you a perfect example. When Palestine was under, before the Jews came back to their home that God called them for and gave it to them, even the Quran, Allah said, my people, come back and possess the land, come and possess the land that I have given you. Allah spoke to the Jews, but the Muslims don't see it right now. So what happened is, at that time, the Palestinians lived under the Egyptian, the Jordanian, and the Syrian. They were separated and they were ruled by 3 different countries. When Israel came and now they took their land back and they told the Palestinians to live with them, the Palestinians came at war with them. And what happened now, it became an occupied land. Does that make sense? So therefore what happened, peace to the Muslim is the freedom from other things. Like for example, United States of America. Why United States of America is under attack today? Because you've done a lot of things like my brother spoke about. It is for freedom. Every place you guys want, you set the people free. It was not by a Muslim, it was by crusaders. That's how we saw it. So therefore what we're looking at, it is unless it's a Muslim freedom, it's a peace. Anytime peace to us as American today is to live in harmony, to live in love, to live in plenty, to live in protection. But over there, it's to be free from any other culture about Islam. Islam it's not a race, it is not a country. Islam is a nation. So you could be an American, Muslim, and now your loyalty and your citizenship belong to the Islamic nation. It doesn't belong to your country. Are you listening to me? These are very important. Because even though that they have the American citizen and they live in here, they are not citizens of this. Their loyalty is to Allah and to Islam. That's what it's come down to. So, therefore, at the age of 7, my dad got me out of school, and he said, you want to live in this house, you have to work. I started working, I was 7 years old. I sold paper sacks. You know how terrible that job is, standing in the rain, in the cold, in the summer, in the heat of the day, trying to sell for less than a penny a paper sack for those who want paper sack, and people buy it just because they feel sorry for you, not because they really want to help you. Worked as a blacksmith. I was working as a blacksmith. These things that the blower that's blowing the oven was heavier than on the top of me, just hanging up there, and so I was trying to do it myself. This is 7 years old. Now I'm prompt with hate. I'm learning different things, and work for us was from sunrise to sunset. It was not like, oh, I'm clocking in at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to have my lunch, and we're going to have 15 minutes break, and then I'm going to have my lunch, I'm going to have 15 other minute break, and then guess what? It's 4 o'clock or 4:30. I'm going to leave a little bit early today. That's all y'all. We lived in that system. So what happened is, we worked 6 days a week, and we worked for peanuts. This is how it started. And one day, I was running from place to place, just to go to work. And I'd go through a specific neighborhood. The neighborhood that I went through, they hate people like me. Why? Because I was born as a Sunni Muslim. Today, my cousin, he's the holy of holies. He's the grand imam. We call him the mufti. What is the mufti? The one who declares fatwa, the one who reigns over the Islamic power in Lebanon. He is the big dude. So what happened is, at that time, he was nobody. We were playing on the street together, just barefooted, kicking the soccer ball, which is made out of papers, because we could not buy a real thing. So what happened is, we have to go through neighborhoods. And as we're going through a neighborhood, I'll never forget my favorite people, the Armenians. The Armenians almost near killed me every time I went to the neighborhood. They stole my shoes, my belt, everything. They had to beat me up and steal something. Why? Because the Turkish Ottoman Empire killed over 12 million 12 million Armenians in the mountain of Ararat. Genocide. Then I went to the Shia neighborhood. The Shia, wow, the Shia to us as Sunnis, they are worse than the Jews. Kill the Shia anytime you can. Saudi Arabia and Iran, they hate each other with a passion. You're going to see very soon Iran assaulting Saudi Arabia. Wait and see. Remember, I spoke it here. And so what happened is, we go through the Shia. The Shia want to offer sacrifice of praise. They love me to death. Then I go to the Kurdish. What we did to the Kurdish was just as bad as the others. So the Kurdish were beating me up too. And one day I was beat up so severely, I went to the mosque, and a bunch of imams that they were studying in the mosque came and protected me. These men called the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood was rising up in Lebanon, and now these imams took me under their protection, and they start fighting for me. And they even went and hunted those kids who beat me up. They became my own protection. The Muslim Brotherhood was an entity to be feared. After the fall of the Ottoman Empire in 1924, the Muslim Brotherhood birthed in 1928 in Egypt, in Cairo, by Hassan al-Banna. Hassan al-Banna was a student in Denver, Colorado. He was studying to be a teacher. And when he learned about everything that the Americans do, and he saw the church and the flourishing, world of the United States of America, what happened? He went and established the jurisprudence of Islam, which is the straight and narrow path of Islam, and he took the Sharia law and he translated to Book of War. Today, the United States of America is invaded by the Muslim Brotherhood on every mountain. The 7 mountains that I spoke at, they sit on the top of every mountain. Our president put them in those places. Our president equipped them and allowed them. Our president made a place for them. Although he called himself Christian, but he is equipping Islam and raising up the Muslim race in here and equipping the Muslim Brotherhood. The Word of God says you know them by their fruit. There's 2 kinds of people. There are those who are fruitful and those who are fruity. The one that are fruitful, they are the one they talk about the truth. The truth will set you free. And those who are free, everything they say, it's the opposite of what they're saying. They don't tell you the word, they hide behind word, and they make you sign things, and they just making you sign for your life. Are you okay? Okay. So now what will happen here is, I'm studying under the Muslim Brotherhood. I became adopted by them, and now we were learning invasion, civilization, jihad. Any country is not governed by Islam. In the Muslim world, there's 4 flags you have to pay attention to. There's black flags, white flag, green flag, and yellow flag. What's the difference between those 4 flags? When you see black flag flying in New York City, that's mean war. It's active war. This is called in Arabic, Dar al-Harb, mean house of war. What happened? That's mean Islam declared war against this nation. And the Muslim Brotherhood carry it all the time in their hands. Why? Because America is under invasion. Learn those things. And so what happened is, the second one, it's a white flag. It's called Dar as-Salam. What does that mean? House of peace. What's the difference between those 2 flags? If a country is not conquered yet, it'll go under the black flag. If it's conquered, it goes under the white flag. The yellow flag is the Iranian flag, the support of Iran. The green flag is support of Saudi Arabia. Hamas and Hezbollah, these 2 factions. Hamas meaning Sunnis, the green, and yellow is Hezbollah, which is the, Iran. So these are the things why they want to destroy Kamal Saleem, because we are teaching the secrets of Islam. Why we talk about this? We don't want to mock Muslims. My job, I love the Muslims. My mom is a Muslim. My brothers, sisters, Jesus died for the Muslims. God loves the Muslims. What I'm against is against Islam that trying to destroy the Muslim people, which is lying to them, deceiving them, and killing them by the millions. When they are not fighting us, they're fighting each other, tearing each other apart all the time. So what happened here is, what I'm talking about is, this is not about hating the Muslim people, but talking about specifically Sharia law that is invading our nation, and very soon is going to be put, in the next 2 years, I'll explain that, how they're doing it, little step by step, and what is our president doing to bring this into the United States of America. It's happening by strategy. Why do I know this? Because I studied among the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm not someone who read a book. I'm not someone who watched Fox News or CNN. I was there myself. We wrote the book. I was part of the book. I lived that life. So my life, I'm speaking from the things that we did, is not about the things that we see happening, but the things that we're going to do and make it happen. So now we're accelerating and we're moving, we're learning that United States, how to invade it, how to obtain the American citizenship, how to marry their beautiful girls at the universities, how to obtain, how to do this, how to do that, how to join the American military, and after you serve 5 years, you can get the American citizenship, how to penetrate this part, how you do this, all of it, how you cross over to the borders, how you claim asylums. All these are part strategies. And Americans still wondering, are we under this? My brother was talking about it in a nutshell. I wish he talked more about it. He had a story. It's better than my story. And he was speaking about it, your liberty and your freedom, and what they're going to do to destroy your world. So what happened is, here I'm learning with them, I'm growing up with them. The whole group joined the PLO. At that time, it's called Fatah. Fatah was it's a word given by the Muslim Brotherhood to Yasser Arafat. We're in Egypt, in Cairo, when his group became, was birthed. What is Fatah? Fatah is from the Quran. It's a surah. It's a book. It came from the phrase "Inna fatahna lakum fathan mubina." We have given you the victory. Come and conquer. Against whom? Anyone is non-Muslims. So therefore, what happened is, the war is against Israel, is to destroy Israel so they can defeat Western civilization among Islam, and then they can turn against the Western world, but they realize Israel is not being conquered because there's a God watching over Israel. And this God is hot for Israel. And he said, it's the apple of my eye. And he is watching over Israel, and he's going to make sure nothing's going to happen to them, and his word must be fulfilled. So therefore, they're coming against whom? Against the church, against our nation, and they are penetrating our world. So now we joined the PLO. 7 years old, I went on my first assault camp. Who's 7 years old here? Any 7 years old here? 8 years old? Never mind. I was 7 years old when I shot my first AK-47. I was going somewhere. With this, I went on my first mission to Israel. I was 7 years old. We dressed like Bedouin kids. Bashar al-Assad, father, his name is Hafiz al-Assad. Hafiz al-Assad, dictator of Syria at that time, when Golan Heights used to be under Syria still, not under Israel now. And under Israel now, what happened is they dug holes, just like you see the holes that dug from Mexico to the United States of America. What we're doing, little boys like us, we were soldiers of Islam. We were baby soldiers. And we carried knapsacks on our back, and we rendezvoused with the shepherd. The shepherd put them in the belly of the sheep. They took them inside Israel to give them to the Fidaiyin. Fidaiyin are the martyrs, and they bombed themselves and killed the Jews. We were hailed as heroes. My second mission, I was 8 years old. I recruited my next door neighbor. We were just slaughtered that day. They were waiting for us. They knew what we were doing. This is how my life started. I carried my best friend on my back, and I lived. Then from there, we went to the civil war in Lebanon against the Christian. Hundreds of thousands of Christians were murdered by the sword of Islam. Who started the war? My group, PLO. We started the war. Why? Because our strength, and you need to learn from this, our strength at that time when I was a Muslim, part of this, is to separate between the nation people. When the people separates, what happened? There will be a great divide, and now a clash of the culture will take place. In the United States of America, we came to do this specifically, and I will talk about how we're going after the black African American to change them and to create a wedge between the white and the black to create a great gap in the culture. And it's succeeded. It's 100% fulfilled, and it's moving to the forefront. This is how it started. From there, the Saudi Arabian government, that they're the friend of America, when our president went and licked the hand of the king. You don't do this to anybody else. The United States president, the head of the free world, you don't bow down. That's what the Muslims bow down 5 times a day. And they bow before whom? Before Allah. So when you bow like this, you're saying my loyalty and my flagship is under you. That's what it means in Islam. While the Americans slept, cancer is spreading. So what happened is, now I'm recruited by your favorite people. And the emir, the prince, are paying everything, and they send me to Europe. England was my favorite place. The English people were so dumb, they were dumber than dirt. That's a southern word for y'all. What happened is, they lived in the pubs, they lived in the clubs, and they worshiped the god of soccer that didn't have time for anything else. The church was a place for rock and roll and alcohol and party night. That's what the church was for. The church was our favorite places, been bought and converted to mosques. When a Muslim come and pray in a church, it doesn't mean he's trying to be part of a solution. He's trying to proclaim the church as an entity for Allah. It's a war. So when I pray in a church, the church must be possessed by Islam. And that's what's called Chrislam to you. Christian, Muslim, American churches. There's so much to cover. So hopefully we'll cover a whole lot more in Fremont for those who can make it there. But here we go. We went to Europe, and I sent my report. I said, England's falling. Then I was sent to Tora Bora. What we did, we need to help the Mujahideen. The Saudi government said, we need to win this war instead of America win the war. So I was sent to Tora Bora. But before we went to Tora Bora, I was sent to Syria. We united with Saddam Hussein and his people, the Iraqi. And what did we do? We went and hit Hafiz al-Assad army in Jalapa. That's where you see the war today. What they have those, weaponology, storage houses over there, chemical and everything. We hit those and we stole 300 SAM-7s, heat-seeking missiles. I was going to teach the Mujahideen how to shoot heat-seeking missile. That's my job. Who was helping us? Saddam Hussein took us through. We went to Kuwait, right there by Iraq, and the Emir, the prince from Saudi Arabia, royal Saudi Arabian family, brought his big boat, and we transferred the rockets all the way. We went to Pakistan, and from Pakistan, we went to Kandahar, and from Kandahar, we went to Tora Bora. Allahu Akbar. Woo! Glory. So what happened is, Islam is spreading, and there, the reason why I'm telling you this, because there's a story over there. My encounter with the American CIA over there was amazing. My favorite, which is I refer to him in the book, his name is Abu Fox, the father of Fox. Abu Fox changed my life. This guy has red mustache, blue eyes, everything, and what happened is, he said he asked me to cross over to his rank. And I was so scared because I felt poisoned. Like he's touching my heart. And I felt my heart is moving toward him. And I could not understand it. So I started focusing on what's taking place. And what I found out, that these Americans left the United States of America, left home, they went all the way to Afghanistan, to the mountains over there where the Muslim, nobody want to fight for the Afghani mule. That's what we call them. We call them Afghani mules. These people, nobody likes them over there because there's a rock and there's an Afghani. And you don't know the difference between the two. That's what we talked about. They have no purpose in life. And so what happened, what are the Americans doing here in Tora Bora? They said, don't worry, we're going to watch over you. We have a radar system. We're going to make sure you cross over so we can hit your target. Why are you doing this to me? They brought their monies, their children, their finances, their freedom, and their power right there. And who are they fighting? The Russians. So I wrote my report to the Saudi prince, the Emir. I said to him, we're going to lose this battle to America. America will win the war in Afghanistan. These people already signed a contract and gave their life for it. It is for freedom I have set you free, the word of God said. I traveled the world. In my life, I'm in my middle 50s, upper middle 50s. Yeah, my wife will correct me if I don't say it correctly. I fear God and wife. You go to the graveyards all over from Africa, from the Horn of Africa, Europe, Normandy, on every shore, 3 continents. You see American graveyard. Hundreds of thousands of American people over there, American flag and their stones standing up there, crosses all over. And they have a plaque, we came to set the captive free. We came to give you freedom. We came to give you liberty. When you pledge the pledge to the American flag, when you pledge the allegiance to the American flag, and what do you say at the end? Liberty and freedom for all. This is not about America, it's about the world. But today your liberty and your freedom is being hijacked and kidnapped from your world and being destroyed, and American people are signing off on it. The first place is universities. Universities today, they are fighting for your children. That's the great commodity. These young men and women, that's what they're after. Why? Because if they can shift them against you, they can destroy this nation. So, I sent a report and they said, we'll take the war to their street. Bring it to America. We're not going to be able to destroy this nation from outside, so let's take it from inside. The greatest power is of a cancer. It doesn't grow on the outside and come and hit you in the head. Like a basketball or soccer ball. Cancer grows on the inside. And when it grows, it command and take over everything that you have. This is what I was sent for. When we came to the United States of America, I was commissioned with three things. My first commission was the Muslim Student Association, Muslim Student Union, Muslim Youth of North America. These are my group, and my group is to establish stronghold in the universities of the United States of America. What are these strongholds? To establish the MMA, I'm sorry, Muslim Minority Affairs. What is the Muslim Minority Affair? Is to destroy everything that the American young men and women have and bring in new theology, new understanding to let them know we worship the same God, we're people of peace, and start changing ideology and brainwashing. This is where we started. Your children today, when we dump them in university and let them there, guess what? Somebody else is going to take them. If you don't, drug dealers will wait for them. A pimp will wait for them. A professor who studied in university in Russia or in Turkey, he will come and deceive your children. The apostle one day came to Jesus Christ and they said, "When is the hour, Lord? When is that going to happen, all these things?" He said, "No one knows the hour but the Father himself. But here's are the sign," the emphasis on the sign. He said, "There will be great deception." The power of Satan, not that he did not lie. Many people said he lied. No, he did not lie. Satan deceived. In Islam, in their holy book, the Quran, which is we have one here, this is specifically for the American people to study it and understand what Islam is all about. What happened there? Allah said, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Meaning the Christian and Jews have deceived, and Allah deceived, but Allah is the greatest deceiver. Wahoo! What happened? One of his 99 is the great deceiver. What's the other one? Al-Mumut, the one who murdered, the murderer. Well, these are the name of Satan in English, in the Bible. Why Allah is calling himself those names? My people perish for the lack of knowledge. Knowledge is what America is missing. So now, the second part was the jail system. What is the jail system? The jail system is the biggest African American numbers of people over there. They are men. There we start taking them and turn them to Islam. The Nation of Islam is the fastest growing nation in the United States of America. Black African American. When the church turned their backs on the universities and school and let the name of Jehovah God Almighty let go of the school, guess what? They came. When we left the jail system, they came. And what was the last part? The poor neighborhood. We came to the poor neighborhood to change them. When the church started failing to feed and take care of the poor, and now they start building their own mansions and building their own world, what happened is the enemy is just feeding on the weak and the poor and the downtrodden. Why? Because we don't have time for them. God said, "I have set the table. Come on, dine." And one said, "Well, I bought me a couple SUVs. I'm going to go try them." They had horns at that time. They're from Texas. The second one said, "Well, I just got me another wife." The other one was an old raisin. "I'm going to get me something young. I don't have time." The third one, he said, "I bought me a piece of land. I'm going to build my kingdom on it." What happened to the kingdom of God? When the church evacuated all this, what happened is the power of hell became stronger in those places. Any place you don't want God in there, that's fine. Take God out. Bear witness. This will be hell itself. We came, and now we're moving to the United States of America, and we are equipping. And we're not coming with pennies. Islam is coming with billions of dollars. Who is supporting this? The gluttony of the United States of America on petrol. That's why our president is trying to destroy energies in the United States of America. Why? So our dependency on that oil becomes so strong, so it will invest in the new rise of the Arab Spring, the rise of the new dawn of the USA, United States of Arabs. Why is the First Amendment and the Second Amendment challenged? Why they want the guns out? Why? Ask yourself those questions. Don't look at the issue. Look at the big picture. God created the heavens and the earth, and He filled it up, and He said, behold, my glory. For you. For you. Not for Him. He doesn't need it. He created it for you, so you can look at Him and say, wow, this is my God. We don't even see these things. What happened is, in order for the UN 1618 to be implemented, the hate crime bill, your guns must be gone. Ta-da! Gun out. In order for Sharia law to be implemented, the freedom of speech must be destroyed. This is the second one. This will be attack on the second one. As soon as they finish the gun, then it will come on the freedom of speech. Gone. The third one, Article 6. Colossal. What is Article 6? Is your constitution. What is your constitution? Your constitution, when the King of England, the kings of England, and the kings of Europe turned against the church, and they seated themselves there, and they became corrupted, and they were destroying the church was seeking God, and God gave them an exit. And they were looking for the new Jerusalem. They were looking for the USA. They were marching over there. What's his name, the guy who found America? Let's examine this. What was his name? Christopher Columbus. Very good. Christopher Columbus was coming through the seas, and he was lost. And he called on God. And guess who came to him? He said, I was in the presence of angels. He was looking for the New Jerusalem himself. He declared that. When these men and women moved to the United States of America, and the Declaration of Independence and all this took place, the United States of America Constitution came from something very specific from the book of Isaiah. The three level of government, the executive branch and all the other two branches. What happened is your constitution is birthed from the word of God. What's the enemy coming against? Against God himself. And it goes back. God was talking to Satan, and he said to Satan in the book of Isaiah, he said, Satan, you have reason in your heart. He was debating all this. He was talking to himself. He was creating a revolution in heaven with what? 1/3 of the angels. He said, you have set your seat above the star of God. Why he want to set himself above God? Because he want to be Akbar, higher, greater. Allahu Akbar. Somebody higher than God himself. And then he said to him, and you have set your heart, you have set your throne on the Mount of Assembly. Where is the Mount of Assembly? Where Jesus Christ returned. Today we have Al-Aqsa and Dome of the Rock, the two mosques, right there on that mountain. And what happened is, they could not, the Temple of Solomon is right directly under it. They could not put it out. Why? Because there's two mosques over there. Are you listening to me? And then what did he do? He said, you set your throne on the Mount of Ashkar. Where is that Mount of Ashkar? It's right there in Turkey proper. In the book of Revelation, he said, Pergamum, the seat of Antichrist. And we still have not seen where the Antichrist is rising from. But why Turkey is east and west between the two nations is western and eastern. And what happened is the world is shifting and everything changing, and we're still, the light is on and no one is home. That was a psalm. Today, that war that invading America, jihad is not what everybody think is. Many, Islam today, they have a new ad campaign. I brought those with me. I thought they were really funny. The ad campaign, they said, my jihad is to make friends. My jihad is to be this and this and this. I'm going like, that's not the jihad I learned of. And when you learn what jihad is, and you start learning about those jihads, you'll find out jihad is not what the Muslim said. The first jihad, there's 4 levels of jihad. For those who are taking notes, take it down. This is a very important part. The first one is called jihad fi sabilillah, to war in the way of Allah, to become better Muslim, to become stronger Muslim. That's only 10% of all jihad. Jihad was mentioned 91 times in the Quran and 140 times indirectly. That's how much jihad is mentioned all over the Quran. So what happened is, that's the first jihad, only 10%. The second jihad, it's called al-qalam. This is what America today is in, and this is what they find. What is the qalam? The pen. But what does it mean? It means politics. It means propagandas. It means dialogue with them. Anytime, the word of God, you know, when Reagan said, he said, we don't make deal with the terrorist. We don't sit down with the terrorist. God didn't say, I will sit down with Satan and reason with him. What did God say to him? He said, hit the road, Jack, and don't come back no more. That's what he said to him. Why? Because Jesus said, in the book of Revelation, he said, and I saw Satan falling like lightning. Isaiah said the same thing. So what happened? God said to him, out of here, New York style. And what happened is today, when we dialogue with the Muslim, when we allow them to come to your table, part of universities, part of your understanding, you are dialoguing with terrorism. Satan is a terrorist. Allahu Akbar is the one, it means the one who is greater, and the one who is higher, and the one who is bigger. That's what it means. Why? Because Satan is still declaring himself is higher and bigger than anything else. The invasion today, it's all over the place. In 1991, there was a man, he's an imam. His name is Ibrahim al-Abrasi. Anyone knows of him? Put your hand up if you know who he is. Okay, lesson for you to read. Go Google the Holy Land Foundation trial. This is very important trial that everybody must read. This is how when they discovered the invasion of Islam to the United States of America. Ismail Abrasi was driving down the road in a caravan, and what happened, he came out of the car, and him and his wife had a video camera. And when he came out of there, they were taking video of the infrastructure of the Concord Bridge that spreads between Maryland and between Virginia. And so what happened is, 2 policemen off duty were driving, and they saw him. He was, his wife dressed in fisha, the abaya and what so have you, and she was walking, and they called the number of the car. They said, arrest him, he's wanted for raising fund for terrorism, for Hamas. Well, CAIR, Council of American Islamic Relations, is part of Hamas, and nobody arrested them yet. So what happened is they went and searched them. When they searched, they found they have video cameras of forestry. So when you have fires today, many of those fires are active terrorism. It started by man, electric grids, and many others. And so what happened is, when they went to search his home, they found a basement, and in the basement they found a sub-basement. They found this one here, and they found another one. It's called the project. How are they going to destroy America in 5 steps? Today we are on the 3rd one. For the sake of time, I'm going to cut through. Today the invasion is no longer where it used to be. Now the invasion is in the highest place in the United States of America, and I'm going to take you there with me, because every American must understand. Let's go by names. The first one, his name is Arif Ali Khan. Arif Ali Khan is the Assistant Secretary of the Homeland for Policy Development. The development are policies. Who is he recognized and who is he set by? Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. Muhammad Al-Abadi, member of Homeland Security Advisory Council. Rashid Hussein, U.S. Special Envoy to organize of Islamic conferences in our government. Saleem Al-Miryati, that's not an Italian, he's Middle Eastern. Co-founder of the Muslim Public Affairs Council. Imam Muhammad Majid, President of Islamic Society of North America. These are enemies. Their name are in the Holy Land Foundation trial. We are not just in conspiracy, they are here to destroy our nation, and today they are set in those high places. Number 6, Abu Patel. Abu Patel is a member of President Obama Advisory Council to Faith-Based Neighborhood Partnership. Don't leave home without it. He takes them every place he goes. This is my favorite. Her name is Huma Abdeddin. Huma Abdeddin is the right-hand woman to... Boy, you know this one very well. Who is her mother? Her mother is a Muslim Brotherhood operative who opened Women Muslim Brotherhood organization all over. Who is her father? Her father is the head of the special envoy of MMA, which is Muslim Minority Affairs. What are these Muslim Minority Affairs? Is to establish Islamization in different countries in the United States of America. And then what happened? Progressively, they grow from peace to the other extreme. In Islam, it's called an-nasakh wal-mansukh. It starts peaceful, it ends by radical. These are the 5 strategies, how they're going to destroy this nation. And who is she today? She's the one who's calling, sitting with the OIC. Who's the OIC? This is another place everybody must look at. The OIC is called Organization Islamic Council. 57 Islamic nations now controlling the UN, and today they are meeting in United States of America to establish UN 1618, which is the hate crime bill, which is if anyone talk against Islam will be jailed and will be fined. So what happened? The Muslim become the head and the leader and the lord of this land, and the American people will become the slave. Why am I telling you this? Is it to cause a hate? No. The problem is not with America. The problem is spiritual. We do not fight flesh and blood. The problem is the church. We are the problem. Why we left the wall? We are not mending our position. We are not watchmen anymore. We are running after our pleasures and after our own addiction, wherever that may be. It is time to let go and let God work in your life. He said, call upon me and I will answer you, and I will show you great and mighty things you do not know. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and return from their wicked ways, then we will heal their land, then we will forgive their sin, then God is waiting on our obedience, and He can come back. He is a consuming fire if we give Him a chance. Don't look at your ability, but look at His glory. He is a creator. He is God who loves you. He is not a God that He is conditional. He is a God of all unconditional love.
Yes.
I want to finish with this, because I took plenty of your time, and I'm not going to tell you the rest so you can come and hear the rest. But here's the thing. America, come back to me. God would say to you, I've been waiting. I've been generous. I've been good. I've been faithful. Allow me to come back to your life. Allow me to be part of your life. Allow me to defend you. Allow me to show you my benefits. Allow me. My bride didn't want me anymore. I've been waiting on her to set her free from spot and wrinkles. The feeling comes from me, not from you. It's the oil of my Holy Spirit. It is not you. Come back to me, that I may bless you and show you my mighty favor. I'm a God who wants to give. I'm a father, and I understand how it is. May God bless us, and may God bless the United States of America. On my table, there are plenty of books with all kinds of knowledge. There's Sharia law for non-Muslim. There's the B2 report, which is the Sharia law, how they invading the United States of America. Everybody must understand what it is. This is a very good book. You know, I wish I had, I'm run out of them. And then we have the Hadith, the Sharia law, and we have the Sirah, and we have the Quran. All these are Islamic Sharia law. 13 Lesson in Islamic Politics, Islam Rising. These are fantastic DVD. They are 3 hours and 15 minutes. They teach on all kind of things. This one, me and General Jerry Boykin, America the Beautiful. We are fighting for America on every level. It's worth everything. For those who do not like to read my book, The Blood of Lamb, we have Kamal, Saleem in the red chair. It's about 40 minutes. It's my testimony and how I came to encounter God and what happened to me. I didn't tell you how I came to Christ. You got to come tomorrow so I can tell you the story. It's a mafia style. And so what happened, and last but not least, dreams, how God is appearing to the Muslim all over the world. 2.5 million in Iran. 2.5 million Iranian came to Christ. The fastest growing church in the world. 1.5 million in Egypt. God is on the move. God is on the move. And why we sell those? We sell them for 2 purposes. The first one is to educate the people. The second one is to advance our ministry. Thank you for listening to me. And may God bless you. And thank you, sir, for allowing me to be here.
Kamal. Stand for some questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Kamal.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. A couple of things here. I want to say we're going to have some question and answer here for a few minutes. If any of you have to leave early, we just check the weather. It's snowing, you know, kind of. It's not real hard, but it's kind of in between, just for those of you that are a little bit fretting there. But we're going to have that 15 minutes of question and answer. But I wanted to highlight a couple of these books for you because I'm also really big on trying to inform and educate. I picked up a copy of this down at Washington, D.C. This is a thorough study from Frank Gaffney, Jerry Boykin, and many, many other insiders. It's got no pictures in it. It is really heavy-duty stuff, but it is well written by inside security, Pentagon kinds of people. It's excellent. And also, I had somebody from up in Fremont that brought this book over to me. She is at the First Christian Reformed Church in Fremont, and she brought this, and she said, "Bill, you got to read this." And she said that once you start reading it, you won't put it down. She said, "But you only got 2 weeks." So I took it. She was right. I couldn't put it down. I read it over the weekend. I gave it to my wife, and she read it within a couple of days, too. It's very good about your story.
I write simple.
What's the name of that book?
This is The Blood of Lambs. The Blood of Lambs.
We have it here. I'll sign it for you if you'd like.
And then, Kamal, I had mentioned Frank Gaffney's CD, which is back there. You know,
Well, I want one of those.
you
before
want
sell
one? You
them
make
all.
sure you get
Yes.
one of those, too. Can you just say a quick word about that radio broadcast from Frank Gaffney? You really need to get in touch with this man.
Frank Gaffney is a good man. Frank Gaffney is an American. God bless you. God was talking. Frank Gaffney is an American hero, like General Jerry Boykin. His show is one of the best shows that you must listen to. He is one of those shofars, the trumpet that stand on the walls of the United States and calling for America to come back and telling the truth to everybody. That show in particular, it is so powerful because it has so much meat. It'll tell you about the whole thing in a nutshell. It is this powerful. Do not go home without that CD. It's worth it. It's worth it. It really is. And I just want to open.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. And two, I mean, Frank, Kamal.
Well, we all look alike.
This isn't about money thing. You know, if you want to put $1 in there just because it's where nothing at all, that's fine. It's not about that. It's about trying to inform and educate you. And I want to turn your attention back again to that website, which is, again, AmericanBrotherhoodinAmerica.com, because it's very educational.
It has a thorough teaching over there.
Say it again. What is it again? MuslimBrotherhoodinAmerica.com. Thank you.
It has studies on every level of that invasion and what's taking place. It is very clear, and you don't have to watch it, you know. You just watch one show at a time, and it'll take you through the whole thing.
Okay, starting questions. I'm going to ask one question just to get this thing started. In this book that we were referring to, Sharia, the Threat to America, one of the portions in there I found really interesting. It was talking about how, by the fact that there's the politically correct movement upon our universities and upon America, how we've succumbed to that so much on so many levels. We all know that, and how that sets us up to diminitude. Am I pronouncing that right? Dhimmitude?
Dhimmitude, yes.
Explain that, would you? What does that mean?
Dhimmitude, it's what we call it in Arabic. It's part of Sharia law. It's called the dhimmi status or the dahami in Arabic. The dahami status is if you are not Muslim, then in order for you, like in Spain, when the Muslim invaded Spain, what happened is that during the war they have right to kill anyone they want and enslave anyone they captured. In Islam, still, it allows slavery until this day. It's the only religion allow real slavery. It's happening in Ethiopia and in Sudan and Nigeria. The other part is in order, if you want to keep your religion and live, then you have to pay what's so-called jizya, which is a penalty tax. So in order to live your life, you have to pay us to keep you alive. So you have to pay for your life. The other one is there are 40 standards that you could not do. So therefore, even though this is your country, you could not live as standard of the Muslim guy. So you have to come down to the 4th level, and they become the 1st level. So you become their slave whether you like it or not. This is the dhimmitude, the dhimmi status. This is so good. I'm so glad you asked that. That's in a nutshell. And we have it in Sharia law for non-Muslim and the B2.
Okay, excellent. Now, other questions?
Excuse me, William.
Yes.
I'd just like to say something before you ask a question.
Okay.
In addition to what...
Sure.
I'd just like to say something, that is, you Americans know nothing about Islam. I'm not saying we because I'll exclude myself and a few others, Mark and others from here who know something. And the little that you know is absolutely wrong. I mean, I was asked one day, once a lady asked me a question, what is the difference between Islam and Muslims? I said, if this is the level of knowledge which people have, so whatever the apologists give to you, you quietly accept it. They say Islam is a religion of peace. They accept, yes, and they say, they'll quote 20 verses. It is tolerant, it is tolerant of you, to you your religion, to my religion. There is no compulsion in Islam. And people will be, yes, look, this is it. And they'll show you, here is it written in the Quran. And the naive, innocent American will say, yes, it is a religion of peace. Yes, it is a religion of, but only if Islam is the dominant religion. Only then.
Amen.
No other religion. Let there be, if anybody desires a religion other than Islam, it shall never be accepted of him. This is what is written in the Quran.
That's what Muhammad said by Allah.
It says it, the Quran says it. So please read those books, get yourselves knowledge so that you know what they are talking of. Not the purpose is not to spread hatred against Muslims. It is just to give you the truth. Thank you. Sorry for...
I'm going to answer 2 questions before anybody asks them. Question number 1, what the Muslim don't want you to know what Sharia law is. The Muslim don't want you to know what Sharia law is, but yet they want you to embrace Sharia law. Because Sharia law is the jail system and the trap that they want you to step in. That's why we're fighting Sharia law. That's why I'm fighting for that issue specifically. Every state, we're trying to fight on this level. But nevertheless, the second one is Islam has a dogma. It's called duality. The duality of Islam that every Muslim must understand. It's called an-nasikh wal-mansukh. When Muhammad was in Mecca, everything was peaceful. There in Mecca and he went to Medina. What happened is Medina became the first Al-Qaeda. That's the first Al-Qaeda. That's what Medina is. What happened is he became prophet and progressed from prophet to warlord, and from warlord he became a leader, and from a leader he became a world. He sat like a king. Why? And everything by the sword of Islam to force Islamization. Sir, speak loud.
I have a question. Now, 2 things.
Yes, sir.
One, if Obama is Muslim, and we think that Obama is Muslim, why does he push a homosexual agenda?
Okay.
The second one would be when Osama bin Laden was taken down in Pakistan,
Yes.
there was pornography, intense pornography, and also occult literature. Could you address that in the Muslim culture, please?
Let me say this to you. Majority of Muslim men deal with pornography. My dad was a good Muslim man. He was a Hajji. He went to pilgrimage. He went to Mecca. But he was active in pornography. my brothers, uncles, everybody that I know, pornography was, something. Why? Because Islam suffocated the man from having his freedom and whatsoever. You throw him into this whole thing, and now it tells him to marry 4 women. What happened now? It is a pleasure for the man. It's the pleasure of man come before anyone else. So what happened is, he has full rights of marry 4 women, but if a woman disobey him, he have the right to beat her up, and if she still disobey him, he have the right to honor, kill her, take her head off. So this is, in a nutshell, I want to take more questions, so I'm going to skip to the second one. Pornography is active in the Muslim world. Like if an American woman goes to Afghanistan, whatever Muslim country, the first thing you see the Muslim male. Why? Because the Quran is the biggest pornographic book. That's what Muhammad did. Muhammad, he had 14 wives. He had multitude of concubines, and they were fighting for women every place they go. So he got a lot of those concubines. I'm trying to answer the question and move to the second one. So I'm going I'm ahead of myself mentally. So I'm going. The second one is why they allowed homosexuality. You see, we have a saying in the Middle East: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Me and my brother against my cousin. Me and my cousin and my brother is against my neighbor, and vice versa, and goes on. So what happened, even Iran and Saudi Arabia will come to fight together. Hezbollah and Hamas, they come to fight together when they have a common enemy. So what my brother talked about earlier, he said a word. The word's called isms. What is the isms? Are the giants of this hour. Who are the giants of this hour? Homosexuality and what's the women thing? Lesbianism. Then you have socialism. Then you have Marxisms. Then you have Islamism, fascism, socialism. All of them, what they have ism thing that they unite together. They have the same thing to what? To bring the world down. In England right now, because homosexuality is so strong, and pornography, and prostitution, and alcohol, and whatsoever have you, Islam is coming as a solution. We are the solution, they're saying, to all this. Let us be in charge, and we'll take it all down. This is the promise that they made. Does that make sense? So by allowing all this, this is an invasion for the real solution to come and be implemented. This is that's not God theology, this is Satan theology.
Kamal,
yes,
we've got a question over here in just a second, but just a couple of things. We're going to do a free will offering in just a second. We're going to pass some plates around here. And I want to just say a word about that. And while we're doing that, we're going to continue the question and answer, because I'm wanting to try to get as many questions and answers in as we possibly can.
Yes,
so let me just say just a quick word about that. It's very expensive for these folks to travel from Colorado to wherever they go. They actually have 5 speaking engagements. We have 3 of them. They're on the road. That's overnight. That's food. That's this kind of thing. It's their ministry. I just really believe we can make a strong statement of love and support by supporting Kamal and his team as generously as possible. And so do your best, if you would, tonight, please. And Mark, would you take the middle row? And Paul, would you go over here? Daryl, would you take over here? Thanks so much. And we'll, sure, Mark? Yes, make the checks out to Kumi Ministries.
Yeah, we have envelopes if you want one. We'll give you one.
Does anybody want envelopes for the check purposes? Kevin. If so, raise your hand. Kevin, you.
I'm sorry? Yes, we do.
K-O-O-M-E.
And the last word is plural, ministries. Kum ministry. Kum means arise. This is where Jesus Christ.
Come forward, man, if you would, please.
When I had an encounter with Jesus Christ, Jesus said to me, Kum, Kamal. My neck was broken, my body was busted on the left side, and he told me to stand up, and I had a miraculous healing instantly. I will talk about my testimony tomorrow night. But when that happened, he reminded me, he said, I've done this for Lazarus. When I called him, I said to him, Kum is an Aramaic word. He said, Lazarus, Kum, arise. And when he went to Talithia's home, Talithia was dead already. And he grabbed by the hand, he said, Talithia, Kumi, and a new life was given to her. Jesus gave me a new life and set me free for this purpose. Today, my job is to wash feet. My job is not to be a ruler. Allow me to wash your feet.
Thanks, Kamal. Also, when we were talking about those isms, I don't know if you have ever purchased the Agenda DVD. We've had so many people that have been really moved by that particular DVD. Question.
Mr. Saleem, I must ask this question.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
husband and I went to Texas over Christmas, and we had the occasion to visit a very large Texas evangelical church, which our children attend. And I was very troubled when we came from that church that morning, and they had a special video that the pastor was alongside an imam, and they had earlier in the year had a big party get together at the church with several Muslim people, and they were inviting the whole congregation to join again to get to know their Muslim neighbors better. Then the imam spoke, and he said, if you get to know us, you won't hate us so much. And the pastor was going alongside of him saying, we must love them. Can you please
Thank you.
address that?
What she meant by the Amin, she meant to say Imam. The Imam is the Muslim cleric. You know, the invasion. Tomorrow I will read about the strategy, the 5-point strategy, how they're going to destroy the United States and how they will conquer the United States by 2020. They already accomplished the 3 points. They have 2 more points. They
Question
have
right here.
a few more years. Let me say one more, and I'll come back to you. And what happened is, in their agenda, how they're going to destroy it is through religious organization. The mayor of Kansas invited me to speak on the prayer breakfast. So the Muslim Brotherhood protested there, and they were screaming with bullhorn, and they were trying to stop me. They even said something may happen and bomb may goes. You know, they were scaring everybody. But we still went. And what happened is, since they could not stop this mayor from doing this and inviting me again and invite this, what happened, they went to his church and they started praying at his church. And now they're invading his church by all this, what's so-called al-taqiyya, which is to lie, to invade, you know. And so what happened is the pastor, their pastor is falling in love with them. And what happened is the church is becoming almost Islamic. What does that mean? That the Muslim can pray on Friday and the Christian on Sunday. But I said this to the pastor. I said, ask the imam if they can come on Sunday and preach at his mosque. Or tell him if you can have Wednesday night youth service, Christian youth service. He will tell you, absolutely not. This is one-way ticket for us and us alone. But anyhow, there's a whole lot more on this. It is a strategy for the invasion of our religious sector, because our strength and our power of this nation is in the Bible, and it's by the move of the Holy Spirit. And if they can destroy it, if they can pollute it, they will deceive the Christian, and God of Islam and God of Christians will become one, and we lose our salvation. Sir.
Well, I wanted to thank you
Thank you for
for being here and actually opening our eyes as to what's happening. I do want to ask if you were aware of Mr. Obama's ring.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I read it.
Can
It was
you
sent to me right away at
let
that
them
day.
know what that is all about?
Okay. Before Obama was senator for how long? Obama, how long he was senator for? 2 terms. And what happened is, after that, he became president. When he pledged allegiance to the United States, the American flag, he used to pledge this way. When I was Muslim, we pledged to Allah 5 times a day like this. That's how we pledge. And what we said, Inna salati, my prayers, wa nusuki, my fasting, wa mahyaya, my life, and mamati, my death, lillahi rabbil alameen, the God of this world. Not God of heaven and earth, God of this world. La sharika lah, he doesn't have a son, he doesn't have a spirit. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُهُ, and I've been commended my life to him. وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ Muslimin, and I will be the first one to die for that cause. That's the pledge. So when he pledged this, the whole Muslim world going like, he's pledging to Allah. His loyalty is to Allah. The ring that he's talking about, it was sent to me before it went on the media. They said, Kamal, check this out. What did it say? When we exploded the whole thing, it says, La ilaha illallah. There's no God but Allah. That's his ring that he wears on his finger. Thank you, sir.
Kamal, moving back here to the back here for just a second. Mark, you can go up to the front.
Yes, sir.
Here, let me give you this, Mark. I'm giving this to Mark Gurley, who knows an awful lot about the American law for American courts, and I know some of you want to know the latest. Thanks, Mark, for your work.
This man is a good man if you don't know who Mark Gurley is. He's a brother and his friend. I'm honored to be his brother.
American law for American courts. It's basically to keep foreign laws out of our courts. You would think that we wouldn't need that, but as Kamal was outlining, there's efforts to try to circumvent our courts. You see it on the liberal left, where if they can't get a ruling that they would like around the Constitution, they'll cite foreign laws. The other place you'll see it is with Sharia law, which is where they want to rule according to their law. Islam is only 16% religion, and so the best way to understand Islam is it's communism with a god. So they want to then put their laws in. I have a document that I got from Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney's group, 636 pages of the known cases, and just Sharia law, not other laws, that have come into our court systems, and one of those cases was in Michigan. And some of these are where the judge then would cite Sharia law rather than the Constitution of that state or our federal Constitution. Probably one of the most egregious ones was in New Jersey, where a woman who was Muslim was married to her Muslim husband, and he was beating and raping her, and she went to a judge to get a restraining order, because in our country, that's illegal. And the judge said, well, he's not misbehaving under your laws. And she had to go to an appeals court to finally get a restraining order against her husband. And so we want to keep foreign laws out of our nation. I also think this would apply to treaties. If you look at the new small arms treaty that they're trying to pass, which would be to disarm Americans, because the one reason why our country has never been invaded since the War of 1812 is because I think the 6th largest military in the world is Wisconsin hunters. And Michigan has more hunters than that. We're the 5th largest. If you looked at guns in people's hands, the 5th largest military in the world. So they want to disarm that. If you have American laws for American courts, basically that state would say in the court system, the law of this state applies over these other things that are being forced upon. And that's the importance of looking at that. Center for Security Policy has a lot of information on the American law for American courts.
That's another class.
Yeah, it's another
That's
class.
a big one.
Anybody have any specific question? Yes, Emmanuel.
Add to what you are saying. What you have just now said, just like add to it.
Add to it.
Add to what you have said. American laws for American courts, like, isn't the U.S. Constitution enough? You bring in any other law, you will have confusion or chaotic confusion, whatever you want to call it. It is.
Yeah, it's about establishing case precedents or case study. If you get, then when a judge, 10 years from now looks back and says, well, here was a case law. I'm involved with banking and estate planning and financial planning and things like that, and there's all these laws. You don't want a case study named after you and the IRS, right? So but they look at these former things as precedents. Well, they're trying to do the same thing. I don't care whether it's Sharia law or whether it's Indian law from India or whether it's African law. We don't want that to subjugate our laws.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to create Roe versus Wade in Islam. And once they establish that, they can build on it. That happened in England. Today they have 84 Islamic Supreme Sharia law court. England culture has split to two. England is divided, and the military now talking about civil war to just take their nation back. England will be the first nation to fall because Islam is progressively taking over the nation. And when Sharia law established, then the segregation and the splitting between the two cultures will take place. They will have their own Islamabad and UK. They have Islamic world in their United Kingdom. And what happened? The English army could not enter there. Now they will have their armies, their policies, their court, their religion, their power to defy the English court, and England will be destroyed from within. This is what's happening in the United States of America, and that's what he's talking about.
Let me give you just a brief overview of what has American Law for American Courts done in Michigan. There was a bill that Representative Dave Agema put in called HB 4769, which was an American Law for American Courts bill. He termed out in December, and the bill died with him. The people that came out against it were CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations. They said it violates our freedom of religion. This has nothing to do with religion. It's an Establishment Clause issue. The other group that came out against it was the Catholic Conference, the Catholic bishops, because they took their talking points from CARE, who said that it would affect their ability to execute any kind of canon law within their church. And my argument is, name one case in U.S. history where canon law from the Catholic Church has ever been violated by our Constitution. It's never happened. So where we are now is there's some really smart people working behind the scenes, and if you want to be involved, right now I'm going to ask you to pray and to do nothing. Because when it's time for grassroots to get involved and call state rep centers and the like, people like Bill Johnson will be contacted so their database can be informed. So if you want to know what to do, when to do it, stay on his email list and he'll be able to send that stuff out. But all we're asking right now is to pray, because there is some things going on, and that's all I can say at this point. But be praying, because there are strategies that are being looked at so that we don't run amok with these issues like we ran into with the Catholic Conference and things and CARE in the past.
We have a sign-up list on the desk, on the table over here. Would love to inform you about many other issues that take places when they come about. If you'd like to sign your name over there, would love to send you an email once in a while. We don't abuse it. Ma'am.
Kamal, we're going
to.
the hour is late. That is
you gotta come tomorrow. You gotta come tomorrow, you guys. We got a lot of other good stuff. Woo!
Yeah, so he'll be speaking in Holland as well in the breakfast. It's not necessarily progressive, is it, between one and the next one, in terms of 1, 2, 3?
No, it's not. It's not.
So some of it will be...
I move by the Holy Spirit. However the Holy Spirit lead me, I move.
Okay, we're going to have to move, because I really desired to keep this on the right 9 o'clock, especially with the weather possibilities. But you'll be available for question and answer, for signing some books. We do have some material back there. I also wanted to mention we have a Frank Gaffney DVD from when he was in Michigan in October, and free donation, whatever. We just want you to get it in your hands. I would like to ask, please still be seated. We're not really quite ready to leave. I really was thankful tonight to see the president of the Puritan Reformed Theological Seminary from your Grand Rapids here tonight. We thank you for your great work, both in the seminary and at your church, and the work, the authoring of so many books and getting Christian material out there. Thank you very much for being with us. And would you close us in prayer tonight, Dr. Beakey? Thank you very much.
This one very fast. Please pray for us. We need your prayers. Please put us on your prayer list as Crowne Ministry. We need your prayers.
Amen.
Forgive me, sir.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Holy and sovereign God, we bow beneath Thee in these moments, and we do grieve, Lord. We grieve for our country. We grieve for so many blinded Christians. We grieve for our president. We grieve for the advances of radical agendas from the Islamic sector to undermine this nation, but also from the homosexual community to undermine it as well. Lord, we are ripening ourselves for destruction. And we beseech of thee that every true Christian in this land may have the scales fall from his eyes, and may storm thy mercy seat, and be like Jeremiah, and weep for this nation, and cry out for Jesus Christ to reign and rule supreme. O Lord, do not give us over to ourselves and our own depravity and selfishness, and indifference and spiritual apathy, but arouse within us holy concern, holy and wrestling prayer, and action. Help us to stand up for causes of truth and righteousness. We thank thee, Lord, for what has been spoken this evening, and every grain of truth that has been spoken this evening. Please own it and please use it, that we might be better informed. Help us to discern between truth and error, and deliver us from every unrighteous way. And above all, Lord, that we ourselves may know a personal saving relationship with thy Son, we and our children, and that we may rise up and fight for real freedom and real liberty, and may know a personal, experiential relationship with thee, the living God. So we lift up all the organizations that are here tonight. We pray for each one of them and for all of them together, and ask, Lord, that thou wouldst bless all those in this land who are standing up for truth and righteousness. Let thy kingdom come and give revival in our land, that the earth may be filled with the knowledge of the Lord from sea to sea. And do convert our president. Oh God, have mercy on him, and give that his immoral agenda may not continue, but that thou wouldst stop it, Lord, and turn it around, and restore the rights of true marriage of one man and one woman as a husband and wife. And Lord, we cry out for the slaughter, the holocaust of abortion and baby killing, and we pray, turn this dreadful tide around, and help us to have respect for life, sanctity of life created in thy image. O God, in wrath, remember mercy. Awaken America, we pray. And Lord, we do thank thee for the many that are being saved. Also in America, we thank thee for truth that is prevailing. We thank thee for millions around this globe who are coming to Jesus Christ. Increase their number and give them true convictions for standing up for truth and righteousness from land to land. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
God bless. Thank you so much. I want to just thank you on behalf of all the various ministries for coming out tonight despite the weather. It's been a privilege to have you with us. Let's do it again. Stay in touch with us, okay? God bless you each one. Drive carefully.